Hello and welcome back to my channel, Whati If Deku 2O. Join us as we delve into the realms of fanfiction and fantasy, bringing you the best stories and discussions. Today, we're kicking off part 6 of our series, What If Everyone Gets Obsessed with Deku and Had Harem? If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more content in the future. The author of this story is Guy number 23 from Fanfiction.net. All the relevant links are in the description. Feel free to say hello to the author on their profile. Now, let's dive into the fanfic. Late night detention. It was a long night for Midoriya. He had to explain what had happened between him and Hatsume at least 4 times before the girls of his harem stopped complaining. Good thing Uraraka helped him, otherwise morning would come and he would still be talking. In general, they all got mad at him at first, then got mad at Hatsume, then slowly started to accept his point. If he loved her, there was nothing they could do. Still, everyone was a little upset since he did this without talking to them, Uraraka included. Well, what did you expect? Oh, I'm going to get laid with Hatsume, and she's joining the group, no big deal. You are not supposed to get laid with anyone else for starts. That was the point in protecting you, Yaoyorozu pouted, looking to the side and with her arms crossed. What can I say, it was stronger than me. But I really love her. I'm not going to stick with any random girl passing by. You better keep your word, so help me. Okay. So about that other topic, can we drop the vigilance scheme already? Uraraka told me about the trackers. Uraraka? What, I could never lie to him. Sigh, oh well, besides the one on your phone, there is one at each piece of your uniform. And I may or may not have installed some cameras. Wait, really? Just in case, we never know when a girl can try to sneak up on you during your workouts. Let me guess, Mina's idea? How did you know? Ha, Mina scratched the back of her head nervously. You know, you don't have to use video feed to watch me at the gym. Yeah, but there are some things I can't do in public, if you know what I mean. Ribbit. Personal preferences apart, I still think you should have told us you liked Hatsume-san before, add her. I'm sorry, Tsu. I promise it won't happen again. So you saying you'll give us a heads up before getting laid with another girl, cutie? Not that, I'm not getting laid with anyone else, Toru. Oh, nice. Humph. We still don't know that Hatsume girl that much anyway. I don't like it Kyoka had her arms crossed behind her neck while she leaned on the bed. I was thinking about it too. Hatsume seems to be a nice girl, but we are not familiar with her at all, so I was thinking about we have a meeting with her. Why don't you all go out with her? The girls looked at Izuku while he made his suggestion. They had inquisitive looks directed at him. You mean like a shopping trip? Well, you tell me, Mina. I don't know, I was thinking that you all could go out together, a just girls thing. It's a good way to get to know each other, right? Hey, doesn't sound bad. What do you think, girls? Momo seemed to be pondering about it with her head lowered and arms crossed. This could work. With the proper approach, we could get some info about other possible threats. Let's just focus on being friends, okay? The boy almost begged, sweating a drop nervously. This harem of his got serious about the smallest of things when it involved him. And so they said it. With the permission of the principal, the girls were going on a shopping trip on Saturday, and Hatsume would be joining them. When Uraraka came to invite her rather than join her to this girl's day out, Hatsume didn't know how to react or what to expect. To be honest, clothes and makeup never were items from her interest list. But since Midoriya insisted that she should at least give it a try, even if just to get closer to the others, she decided to go without complaining. 10 in the morning, and she was in front of one of dorms. As she entered the common room, pink-haired teen met with most of the harem, only Gyro still absent. Given her hobbies and lifestyle, the wardrobe of Hatsume was pretty short on variety, made mostly of jeans jumpsuits, the type with straps, baggy pants, plain dark-colored shirts and tops, and thick blouses for cold weather. For the occasion, she decided to be bold and use a light blue top that reached waist along with some large dark green jeans she had. Lacking the sensation of her huge goggles on her head, she used a pair much smaller and less weird-looking, with orange lens on an elliptical shape, and upon seeing that person walking into the room, Ashido almost had a heart attack. "Girl, what are those?" The pink-skinned girl went to encounter Hatsume, holding her hands open and directing them to Hatsume. What are you talking about exactly?" "Your clothes. Where did you find those?" "What's wrong with my clothes?" "Please, what's not? It's obvious now that this shopping trip is a long-delayed need. Come on, let's see the others." Ashido leaned an arm over Hatsume's shoulder and pretty much dragged her to the rest of the group, and Hatsume couldn't feel more nervous. Knowing the type of relationship they had with Midoriya, and after the first impressions Uraraka gave her, she couldn't help but be apprehensive. She made her best to be friendly, though. Hey everyone." The girls greeted Hatsume in a warm yet kind of void way. She would not blame them, she practically stole their boyfriend, but luckily enough this social activity would help them get over this, and soon they would be best friends. Or so Hatsume hoped. By the huge gap in appearance, she could tell they had a lot of ground to cover. Ashido had a purple tank top with the word fabulous in capital golden letters and light blue jean shorts that didn't make it to the middle of her thighs. Tsuyu wore a lime green shirt and a black skirt almost at the length of her knees. Uraraka also used a similar combination, but her shirt was white and her skirt was brown. Toru wore a tank top just like Mina, but hers was red and had a big black heart in the middle and her shorts were slightly longer. Yaoyorozu wore a cream-colored sleeveless spring dress. And finally, coming from the stairs, Gyro walked to the group, wearing tight jeans, a white shirt with Rocket written on it, and a gray jacket with the sleeves rolled up to her elbows. "Yo, sorry, didn't find my black jacket." "Now that everyone is here, guys, we have an emergency," Ashido said, and pointed to Hatsume, scanning her from top to bottom. Hatsume flinched a bit when all eyes fell on her figure. "See, come on, it isn't that bad, right?" Yaoyorozu had a hand on her chin as she spoke. "Well, not really bad, but you could use, how can I say? You could look more feminine." Hatsume looked at the set of floating clothes with a face that said she was lost. "Doesn't girls also wear this type of pants? I have seen some of them using them, and they looked pretty cool, dancing and all." "It is a trend, yes, but don't you think yours are a little bit too large?" Ashido said as she pulled one of the legs and shook it, showing that 2 Hatsumes could fit in there easily. "I like it. They are really comfortable to wear while I work so." "For working they might do, but you are going out with your friends. Didn't you have anything else?" "I don't get out a lot, just to get parts when I need them. Also, my wardrobe is practically like this and, wait, friends." Yeah, friends. What? Did you think we would keep distance from you while we hang out? We may be the definition of BFF, but we're still your friends. That is, if you feel like the same." That sudden turn on the events yet again put Hatsume in an unknown situation. They all opened up bright smiles to her as if she had always been part of the team. So these girls didn't hold grudges, even if it involved the boy they loved the most. Well then, Hatsume wasn't going to be the only one worrying about what happened if they already let it pass. "Don't get us wrong, we still think you crossed the limit by getting with Deku-kun, but we have open hearts," Uraraka taunted with a small grin. Hatsume couldn't tell exactly how much of this was her show of friendship and how much was a threat. "Then it's settled. The first thing we will do to our friend Hatsume here is help her with her style." "Oh, Mina, does this mean what I think it means?" "You bet, Toru, extreme makeover." As Ashido and Hagakure jumped together, pumping their fists in the air, Hatsume's sweat dropped and took a small step back, only to feel a hand falling on her shoulder. Looking to the side, she found Gyro with a comforting look. "Don't worry, we'll hold them back." Hatsume returned the smile, and while Ashido and Hagakure discussed whether to start by a haircut, some of the guys got into the common room, namely Kirishima, Shiro, Mainta, Kaminari, Koda, and Midoriya. Seeing the bunch of girls reunited in the room, the redhead was the first to speak. "Hey, you all going somewhere? Oh, Hatsume? Kirishima-kun, we are going to give Hatsume-chan a completely new look. Maybe not so completely new. The pink-haired girl was clearly nervous about the enthusiasm of her newfound friends. Don't worry, they know what they are doing most of the time. Plus, Yayurazu and Gyro might keep them at the limits. None other than Midoriya walked to the group, a smile crossing his lips. With him present, the attention of the girls turned to him. Hatsume scratched the back of her neck nervously as she talked with the green-haired teen. Well, guess now I know how you feel when you get a lot of attention. Yeah, it can be a little bit difficult to deal with, but I know you will have a good time together. We sure will. Now let's go before it's too late. We have a lot of places to see and tons of outfits to test out. See ya later, Midoriya. Ashido pushed Hatsume through the door with the others after her. He had his hope high that after this they would form a strong bond between them. To think that he would be surrounded by so many lovely girls. That he never expected to happen, but surely was very welcome. Unfortunately, there was a downside with all this attention he had, and it was another type of attention from his male classmates. For example, right now all the eyes were on him, and he felt a small cold sensation run down his spine. He had his suspicions before, but after what he heard from Hatsume's last visit to one of dorms, Midoriya was pretty sure they knew about him and the girls. To what extent they knew was the part that worried him the most, but he wasn't going to just stop being with the ones he loved because of third-party opinions. No, his friends were important to him, but he had to set some priorities, right? Anyway, right now they were going to the gym together, and hopefully no one would ask about the unspoken fact, just make a joke or taunt if nothing. But the explosive blonde that Midoriya called Kaken made his presence noticeable as he walked through the room and stopped behind the green teen. Oi, just what the hell was that, Deku? What are you talking about, Kaken? He turned around and met with the glare of Bakugo directed at him. His eyes narrowed in a menacing way. Don't give me that shit. Everyone noticed. Lately, you have been dragging yourself around the girls and they won't leave your sorry ass away. And now shitty Crosshair's eyes comes around and they are even doing stupid girl shit together. You explain this. I don't see where you're getting to. Why would I have anything to do with they? Cut that shit, Deku. There's something right. You have something with these shit brains that you're trying to hide, right? Bakugo held Midoriya by the collar of his shirt. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just being friendly and... Since when being friendly involves a personal squad guarding you? Midoriya flinched, though he wished he could contain his reactions. It clearly confirmed Bakugo's statement. You really thought no one would see it? Yeah, he hoped nobody would notice, but Midoriya knew deep inside that it was impossible to not see when all the girls were so clingy to him. But why Kaken, from all people, would confront him? Knowing his childhood friend, it was obvious something was pissing him off. But why? Really, the fact that Midoriya was happy made him that mad. Just how miserable Bakugo wanted to make his life before he felt satisfied. At this moment, the attention of the explosive teen changed from Midoriya to a slightly cool hand that landed on his shoulder. Todoroki had his calm expression as always, but his eyes sent the message that Bakugo better don't exert himself so much if he didn't want problems. But we all know Bakugo, problem is his middle name. What do you want, shitty half and half? I think it would be better if you let go of Midoriya. Huh? Care to explain? There's no reason to harass him at this hour in the morning, especially when he didn't make anything wrong. I agree with Todoroki-kun. Bakugo, we should not show such an aggressive behavior to a classmate at any time of the day. Ida joined them and was already flailing his arms around like a robot. Ignoring the class rep, Bakugo kept his eyes focused on Todoroki, still holding the stunned Midoriya by the collar. Listen here, you popsicle, don't get in my damn way, or else I'm gonna blast you to pieces. Oh ho, interesting, but why are you so upset anyway? Not that it is something new, but I really don't see any reason right now, Todoroki said with a small smile appearing on the corner of his lips, which only made Bakugo more nervous. Are you kidding me? That useless Deku is acting like he's worth something. That alone is enough to piss me off. So you are mad because he got some attention from the girls. Well, maybe you could have some if you didn't shout and swear all the time. That scary face of yours, though, is another story. You want to die so bad? Midoriya had to stop them before they started a fight, so he tried to calm down his two friends before they destroyed the dorms. Guys, let's not start a fight. Can't we just let that drop and head to training? What do you think about some quirk strengthening and... Actually, Midoriya, we're all curious about it too. What exactly did you do to be so close to the girls? Kirishima voiced the thought that was on everyone's mind. Midoriya swallowed dry as all the eyes fell on him, but his focus turned back to Bakugo again as the blonde pulled him closer again. You better admit it already or else I'm going to beat you to the moon and back. I already said I didn't do anything. There was a moment of silence between them while their eyes locked on each other. Then Bakugo let go of his shirt. After a deep breath, he glared again at the green-haired teen. Phew. Out. Now. KK Kaken, we should not fight over this. Fight over what? Didn't you say there was nothing happening? I'm just going to beat your ass because I feel like, Bakugo said as he turned around and headed to the door. Frustrated? Todoroki said, and even though he had his back turned to the ice-hot teen, Bakugo could see the smug smile on his face. Keep up with that sass, and you are next, Ice Princess. Oi, the fight is for real, Kirishima said, having been watching the scene developing mostly in silence. We should only engage in combat with the purpose of enhancing our skill, Ida said, following the same way the explosive blonde went. What are you going to do, Midoriya? Todoroki showed some concern through his usual calm expression. I guess I can't run from it. He'll be shouting and taunting me even if I say what he wants to hear. So there's something to tell after all. Midoriya froze up for a moment. He let that one slip again. Though he tried to hide it, Todoroki just rested both hands on his shoulders and looked right at emerald green eyes. Midoriya, do what you have to do, but just remember, you have to be kind. Take care of them, always considerate their feelings. What? You have to treat them right, because each one is special, like Yaoyorozu. Especially Yaoyorozu. Todoroki then got closer to his face. Don't become a stupid old man, Midoriya. To say Midoriya was very unsure on how to feel about his friend's advice was an understatement. Could he consider Todoroki was cheering for him? If so, why? Anyway, somewhere he could notice something within the red and blue eyes, something that looked like resentment. Given what he knew about Todoroki and his relation with Endeavor, Midoriya understood what he was meaning. He even managed to show an assuring smile, but as soon as Todoroki let go of him, the perverted duo glued on him, steaming and crying blood tears. Midoriya, if you are going to fight, then it's true, right? How could you do that to us? Taking them all just to yourself. Man, that's so selfish. Kaminari was somewhere between angry and completely sad, while the purple midget was a well of envy. How can it be that you got every girl in the class falling for you? Just because you can punch hard. And you didn't feel satisfied with having Yaomomo and Mina at the same time. You had to go and take the pink-haired goddess from 1H. What are you? A beast? I didn't take anyone. Well, if they like you, I guess it can't be helped. But man, you got yourself a lot of trouble with so many girls around, right? Mina, she had always been full of energy all the time. If you can handle them all, then you must be a man among men, bro, Kirishima said as he passed by Midoriya, quickly giving him a pat on the shoulder and dragging effortlessly the perverted duo with him to wherever Bakugo went. Kaminari and Mineta complained and fought against the redhead, but ended giving up. Todoroki gave him a nod and headed out too. Well, since it came to this point, this is a fight I don't want to miss. But seriously, you surprised every single one of us, Midoriya Shiro said as he passed by him with his hands on the back of his neck. What is going on? Where's everyone going to, Shiro? Sato, followed by Aoyama, Ajiro, Tokoyami, and Shoji, asked the slender teen. Oh, Bakugo challenged Midoriya to another fight, this time because of the Midoriya squad. Oh, and where's the squad anyway? I heard there was a new addition. Sato and Shiro kept talking like Midoriya wasn't even here. At least the tall teen gave him a light tap on the shoulder, maybe a good luck or my condolences. This is the price for standing on the spotlight, mon ami. Some people can't stand our bright. Aoyama flashed a pose and followed the rest. It seems the chains of Tartarus is trying to drag you down, Midoriya Takoyami said, as he stood by Midoriya's side with his arms crossed, looking at the door. Don't be so negative, Takoyami-kun. I trust that Midoriya knows what he's doing, right? Ojiro looked at Midoriya's eyes for confirmation, but he received an unsure response from his friend. No, I'm not referring exactly to Bakugo. Every single heart hides a dark side. When this darkness surfaces and break loose, one can change drastically its appearance, rather, reveal its true nature. How do you call this, Takoyami-kun? Koda asked in his usual low and shy voice. Dark Shadow appeared and lowered his head, covering his face with his right claw while the other held at his elbow. Revelry in the dark. I wonder, what would be Tsuyu's true nature? Sorry, Ojiro-kun, that applies to the brightest of the persons like Hagakure. But what does Hagakure-san has to do with this? Sorry, Ojiro-kun, it was kind of obvious after she stopped training with you. Shoji joined the group, leaning a hand on the tailed teen's shoulder. The last group left, leaving Midoriya alone with his thoughts. One, in particular, had a high priority inside his mind. That's it. I'm so dead. So, where to start? Ashido looked around at the huge complex central square. Her eyes focused and scanned the showcases in search of the first item of their transformation process. Hatsume waited nervously and kicked at the floor, still anxious about this thing of hanging out with friends and social interaction. Suddenly, the pink-skinned girl shouted found it, and the next moment Hatsume was being dragged towards a shop. When she spotted the front of the one they were going into, full of sparkles and hot pink everywhere, her heels almost dug in the floor, bringing Ashido to a forced halt. What's up, Hatsume? No way I'm going inside that one. Oh, come on, it isn't that bad, Ashido said as she struggled to drag Hatsume in, eventually calling for the help of her friends. Yayurazu felt like they wanted to hide somewhere, while Toru and Uraraka helped Ashido drag their hostage into the shop. Once inside, the torture session of Hatsume started. When it came to clothes, she always preferred practical rather than fancy, and her current attire was perfect to work. If she kept her clothes clean enough, they also could be used to go out, but she accepted to submit to the rite called shopping trip, so she could get along better with the other loves of her love, so be it. Lucky enough this wouldn't take long, that's what she thought as she waited on a small cushioned box in front of the pink curtain of the changing room. Then Ashido came with a pile of clothes that almost covered her head, and Hatsume's hopes died. Mina-chan, don't you think that's too many options? Even Toru and Uraraka, the ones more into this type of activity, found the initial set of clothes pretty menacing. As Ashido put the clothes on a support desk and started sorting them, she turned to her friends. Nonsense! Since Hatsume here is very short of variety, we have to test practically everything. Not that we'll get a piece of everything right now, but we have to check what fits and what don't. Plus, I found some things around here that I know you all will love. With that she chose the first set of clothes and handed them to Hatsume, ushering her afterward to the changing room. Now, go there and get off those thick clothes, dear. Hatsume looked at the clothes on her hands with an unsure look. You sure this will work, Ashido-san? Not a single idea, but that's why we are trying, that's the best part. Oh, and call me Mina, we are shopping buddies already. I can call you May, right? Hatsume nodded. Feeling a bit more motivated, she closed the curtain and started undressing. After some minutes, Mina called for her. Are you ready yet, May? I think this won't do. Well, show us so we can give you our opinion. The curtain slowly opened to reveal Hatsume in a black strapless dress with a square front piece in white with 6 buttons on the borders. The dress had a frilled skirt with black and white stripes reaching at the middle of her thighs. Hatsume looked at the floor while the 6 girls in front of her judged her new look. So, is it bad? Not bad, but I guess this is too formal. Maybe we should get something she could use on a daily basis, Yamomo said as she searched something on the pile, while Ishido overreacted on the comment. But Momo-chan, this dress absolutely rocks. She would stop the traffic in these. Actually, I'm feeling a little bit tight. Hatsume pointed at the general direction of her chest, which made Uraraka shift in her place a bit. Ribbit. Mina-chan, maybe we should find something that allowed more movement. Found it. Here, Hatsume-san, try this one next. Hatsume took the clothes from Yamomo's hands and returned to the changing room. After a minute she came out in a light blue spring dress, also strapless and with a white stripe going from the right side of the waist to the left side of the hem of the skirt. Once again she looked at the floor, waiting for their verdicts. Seems nice, but I don't know, Mina started, but had to stop as she tried to formulate a line of thought. That's when Kyoka came in. It doesn't make her style. Yes, that maybe something less delicate, Kyoka said as she tossed some items around. After finding a good match, she handed the clothes to the pinkette and she went to change again. This time Hatsume had a white long-sleeved shirt and plain blue jeans glued on her legs. The shirt was long and the end formed a type of skirt, and it lacked the right sleeve completely. Mei kept looking at the ground while the girls checked her out until Uraraka got up from her seat. "Wah, that won't do, Hatsume-san, I mean Mei-chan." She walked to the confused pink-haired girl. "Am I a lost cause?" "No, that's not it. Here, straighten your back, lift the chin, open a smile. Don't you feel better?" In fact, it made Hatsume feel more confident about her looks. Since she never really cared about it before now, she was panicking inside with the thousands of thoughts that crossed her mind. What if she didn't fit any clothes? Or if she ended hating fancy? What would she do if she had to go to a high-class meeting to show her inventions? Did she even look pretty on what she was wearing? But what Uraraka made gave her a boost on her confidence. There we go. If you have those huge melons, you better put them to some use now and then, Ochako said playfully, or not, as she turned around and selected yet another combination. The next look consisted of a yellow tank top with a black heart on it, skin-tight jeans with worn-out marks on the thighs. But different from the other times, Hatsume kept looking up, and she even dared to strike a small pose, putting a hand on her waist. "Now we are talking. Okay, how do you feel?" Mina asked. "Well, it's nice. I'm not used to tight jeans, but they're not that bad. And the top is not pressing too much." "Too much, huh?" Ochako said to herself. "Oh, me next, me next." Toru jumped in place with a set of clothes already on her hands. "Try these, Mei-chan." Next look of Hatsume, gray jeans, a dark blue sleeveless shirt with a small V-neck and a small gray jacket, reaching only at the middle of her back and open at the front, with the sleeves rolled up to the elbows. The V-neck showed her cleavage a bit. Hatsume looked at herself, adjusting a bit and smiled as she saw the image on the mirror. "Hey, not bad. I guess I can use this type of jeans, not too tight and not too baggy. And the jacket, I love it. Yay, we got our first new look." "You sure have a good eye, Toru. I'll give you that," Mina said as she nodded approvingly. Mei looked at her other friends and also received positive responses, smiles, and a thumbs up from Kyoka. "Well, this thing of choosing clothes is not bad either. Glad you think that because we are only starting?" Mina beamed while Hatsume sweat dropped. She was really a cheerful girl. And so they kept playing Lab Rat with Mei, as the pinkette herself said, and tried a lot of new looks and combinations. Based on the first style, the girls managed to narrow the options and started to work more on the possible matches. For starts, Hatsume didn't felt much comfortable with tight clothes, especially regarding the upper half of her body, so tight jeans were practically out, except for one with cuts on it that Kyoka chose. Also, dresses were a last choice since, in her own words, there was a gentle breeze blowing that made her very insecure. Nonetheless, Yayurazu managed to get at least 2 acceptable dresses, plain enough to be used anywhere, but also fitting to more formal occasions if she used the right accessories and makeup. Jackets and tops were a major choice from the girls as it helped to improve Hatsume's strong points. At the end, Tsuyu convinced the pink-haired girl to take a dark green coat with some fluffs at the end of th sleeves. Winter was coming and Tsuyu wasn't specialist on how to get warm. Hatsume chose the green color because it resembled her of a certain someone. By the initial pile of clothes Mina picked up, they ended with 3 combinations of tops, shirts and jeans, a skirt, 2 dresses, a jacket, and a coat, a total of 11 items. It didn't occur to her before, but as the cashier registered the prices, Hatsume slowly gained a panicked face. How was she supposed to pay for all these obviously expensive clothes? It would take her at least 20 functional and fail-proof support items. The problem was the last requirement. Gee girls, how am I supposed to pay for this? I don't receive a lot from my parents. She was shaking nervously, afraid that she would need to leave the store with empty hands, but Kyoka laid a hand on her shoulder to calm her down. Don't worry, Momo-chan got this. Hatsume looked at Momo while the cashier told her the total 15,000 yen. Hatsume and Ochako almost fell with their backs on the floor. The cashier asked for the form of payment. Momo then pulled from her purse a golden card, and this time Mei and Ochako fell backwards. Mei quickly got up and held Momo by the hand, lowering the card. Wait, Momo-chan, I won't be able to pay you for all this. Let's just take one and go. Don't worry, my allowance can cover this just fine. Consider this a friend's favor. No, you don't have to go this for me. Momo then showed a warm smile to Mei. Well, a certain someone I know taught me that going further than you need to is part of being a hero. Plus, you're part of the team now. Mei kept her eyes locked on Momo as she paid for all these fine clothes and handed her the bags. Stunned, she kept in silence until they got out of the store. Mei then called the group slightly ahead of her. Girls! They turned around and watched in surprise as Hatsume made a bow at a straight angle to make Ada proud. Thank you for doing this to me, and for letting me in. It took them a moment to process, and while Mei expected their response, she felt hands straightening her back, and then a world of warmth as they hugged her from all sides. Hey, that's what friends are for, Mina said in her cheerful tone. No need to thank us. We are happy to have you around too, Kyoka added. As long as we're together and we have him, everything will be fine, right? Ochako said, and even made a bold move to plant a quick peck on her cheek. Right, you are awesome, Mei beamed. Not only she found the love of her life, she gained a lot of friends that she knew she could count on. They just met, but she was sure about that, and they could count on her too for anything, anytime. So, next stop, makeup, Toru shouted as she apparently raised a fist in the air. Wait, there's more? Of course, dear, we said it was an extreme makeover. And so they followed to the next store, full of cosmetics and a lot of things Hatsume and the author never heard of before. By the giggles between Toru and Mina, she found a secure place in Ochako and Kyoka. After a long discussion about whether they should or not try a very extravagant makeup to see how it looked, the more conservative team won, much to Hatsume's relief. After some time picking up tones and brands, the girls finally came up with a look that made everyone pleased. It was pretty basic, to be honest. Some light yellow eyeshadow and a little bit of eyeliner to highlight her already unique eyes. A little bit of pink on her cheeks and boom, she was done. While Mei looked at her reflex on a small mirror, Kyoka and Ochako inspected her hair. Kyoka then drew her attention. Mei-san, you don't wash your hair quite often, do you? Huh? Well, sometimes I skip bath, when I'm caught up in my work, but I wash my hair frequently. And what do you use on it? Ochako said. What do I use? Soap. Why? Well, that explains it. Explains what? Kyoka pulled some strands of her locks to show her. Using normal soap can make your hair grow weaker. Here, a lot of them are broken and with double edges. Since you use your hair in that style, you should take more care of him. Take Tsu for an example. Kyoka then showed the difference between Hatsume's hair and Tsuyu's long dark green hair strands. They were thicker and flawless, and had a nice brightness even with a dark color. It even felt smooth to the touch, as Hatsume felt the difference with her hands, also comparing her hair with Kyoka. Wow, it's really silky. Yours too, Kyoka. Sure. I like my hair short, but I take very good care of it. Me and Momo-chan can help with this. Long hair does require some extra care, Ribbit. After that, they selected some hair care items. Momo paid for them, and they had to make an effort to stop Mina from going to the hairdresser. No scissors to May's dear pink locks. By now it was already past noon, and they stopped at the food court. After eating, Hatsume felt pretty much satisfied with this trip with her friends. She had new clothes, and they helped her with some beauty care. Not that she was going to wear makeup all the time, or that she would abandon her baggy jeans and oversized shirts, but she figured out knowing a thing or two about fashion could be useful. And now she was ready to go back to the studio after all the babies would not make themselves. Well, it sure was nice, hanging out with you girls. Now, shall we go back? May said, and was already getting up from the table they were when Mina stopped her. Just where do you think you are going? There's still one place to go. Hatsume didn't get why Mina had that wide smile crossing her mouth, but something told her she was going to find the reason soon. Why? Why here, of all places? Hatsume covered her face with her hands while she stood in the middle of the lingerie section of a department store. Ribbit, I guess everyone needs a battle suit, right? Tsuyu said as she tried to decide between white and blue of light pink panties. And maybe, but we had to buy together. It makes things more fun. Plus, we'll be seeing each other's choice anyway, Mina said in a low voice. It was true that they were going to be much more intimate from now on, but it still was kind of embarrassing for May. At this moment, Ochako passed between them. She had a small pout. Ochako, dear, something troubling you? Well, Mina, I can't help but feel unjustified. What are you talking about, girl? About this, Ochako then pointed to Hatsume's chest, making the pinkette unconsciously cross her arms in a defensive way. We are still talking about my measures? Sorry, I don't want to offend, but ugh, that's so unfair. Excuse me, did you say something? Kyoka poked her head at the end of the corridor. Okay, sorry, touchy subject. Anyway, what is your size, May? D cup. D? Sometimes I have to pick E. Ochako lowered her head in defeat, slowly walking to the D cup section, followed by Hatsume, who had a light pink hue on her cheeks. Does friends share this type of thing all the time? In that session they found Momo, already searching for something she liked. Momo-chan is here, so ask her if you feel in doubt. Now, excuse me as I go to the B section. As Ochako left, silence fell between May and Momo. Does she get like this all the time? Not all the time, but she can be very competitive. You get used to it. So, anything you like so far? Well, I never was too pick on this, so I'm kinda lost. Here's a tip. Momo leaned in closer to May and whispered on her ear. Think about something that would turn him on. Oh, now she got it. And with a light blush on her cheeks, May started to search for something along with Momo. On the C section, Mina and Toru were giggling and exchanging their choices, while Tsuyu, now accompanied by a sulking Ochako, searched in the B section. And with a most plain face, Kyoka stood isolated at the A section. After finding something of their liking, the girls gathered at the changing rooms. Oi, oi, are we really going to do this? May asked while Tsuyu crossed the curtains. Mina then wrapped an arm around her shoulder. Think of this as a friendly competition. We're not looking at the size, but at the type and color, this kind of stuff. Still, it's kinda embarrassing. Well, consider this a training for future occasions. We are very fond to share, Momo said, and instantly her face gained a tinge of red. Ribbit, so how does it look? Tsuyu came from the changing room, wearing nothing but the underwear she selected, being a dark green and black colored set much similar to her hero costume. The panties had a large black stripe on each side, while the bra had the upper borders black. It had some padding so it showed more her cleavage, even more when she straightened her backs. Oh, Tsu-chan, nice one, Mina said as she clapped. Guess I'll go next. Getting up, Mina entered the room to change. In no time she came out and showed her choice, a push-up purple bra and panties combining with her skin color. Her panties, close to a bikini bottom, went up to her waist in a provocative V-shape. Hee hee, bet muscles will get a nosebleed. Hi, I'm going now, Toru exclaimed and ran to the changing room, and the set or clothes that came out floating were a dark blue set, triangular-shaped bra, and string-type panties. So, what do you think? Well, it really is something, but you know, it's harder to say when we can't see you. Mina felt a little bit guilty about it, but besides the part where Toru walked around practically naked when she used her hero suit, she had near to zero visual appeal. Maybe I should just use nothing then. Just don't start being naked on a daily basis, Toru-san. Okay, I'm going now. Momo got up from her seat and walked to the changing room, but the girls noticed she looked a little nervous. What did she choose? Her choice was revealed in the form of a red lace bra that didn't cover her chest too much since most of the material was pretty see-through and there was just a tiny area of her butt that had been covered. And above all things, Momo had to choose on that would show her developed chest a lot, right? By now Ochako and Kyoka were internally crying, so the former decided to end this quickly. Getting up, Ochako closed the curtain and changed, revealing after a while her choice, a light pink set with white frills and tiny red ribbons at the sides of the panties and in the middle of her bra. Standing beside Momo, Ochako unconsciously filled her chest with air and opened her arms more. After that, she captured the eyes of her friend looking at her. What? I like the ones that look more delicate. No, that's not it. It really fits you. I think that you look very hot on it. Ochako blinked twice, then her eyes wandered to the barely naked form of her friend, and a small heat came to her face. Thanks. You too? You look hot too. Did someone in the store turn off the air conditioning, or the place felt hotter than before? Everyone exchanged some uneasy looks before Kyoka decided to break the awkward silence, even pushing Mei with her to the changing room. Okay, let's get this done with. I don't have nothing to lose anyway. Wait, are we changing together? It'll be faster. Don't worry, there's nothing to see. Don't say that. There's nothing wrong with the smaller ones. Forgive my rudeness, but I don't want to hear that from you, Mei-chan. And in no time Mei and Kyoka came out to show their choices. Kyoka had a strapless black bra with a white triangular shape upside down in the middle and matching bikini-like panties. Hatsume came up with a white set, panties similar in shape with Kyoka's, but her bra was a push-up that made her bosom look even bigger. The already present blush on her face only intensified when she noticed all the eyes were on her, rather on her chest. Seriously, Kyoka was staring directly at them as if she was hypnotized. Once again, the temperature seemed to raise as all the girls glanced at each other, tracing the details of their exposed bodies. Ochako somehow managed to clasp her hands together, breaking the silence and preventing something dangerous from happening. So, now that we are all set, let's see. Yes, we have a killing team here. I bet Deku-kun will be very surprised. The mention of his name proved to be a bad move. Now their minds were focused on another thing. Taking this as the cue to leave, Yaoyorozu followed Ochako's lead and ushered the others to change so they could pay for it and leave. The trip back to you was more silent than they expected. There was some chit-chat, and they even stopped to get some ice cream in hope of subduing a bit of the heat they felt. By the time they crossed the huge gates of the school, it was already 3 in the afternoon. They headed to the Alliance Heights and helped Hatsume drop her things in her room, then followed to one of dorms. No one said it, but they were going to see Midoriya, Hatsume included. But when they got there, shock struck all the girls as they received the news from Kirishima. Midoriya? He got arrested again. Arrested? Yep, it happened a little after you all left. Are you all just going to stand there and watch? Todoroki asked his classmates as they gathered at the corners of Gamma Gym. Well, I'm curious to see where this is going. You don't? Zero asked back. In the middle was a square platform that Cementos left behind, along with lots of pillars and walls. On one side stood Bakugo, stretching his arms and warming up. On the other, a shaking Midoriya. The green teen wasn't afraid of his opponent. Not much. What he was worried about was the fact that his classmates knew about his relationship with the girls. Forget what they think, if that came to the knowledge of the teacher and principal, it would most likely be his end as a student. Midoriya was sure his friends would not do something that ended expelling him. But it was a simple question of numbers. The fewer people knew, the easier to contain an information. The simple fact that they would act differently now could be enough to raise the suspicions of the teachers. Heck, he just got a little closer to his harem during the days, and they saw something was up. That said, Midoriya was sure that Bakugo had a reason to call him for a direct confront. Maybe he wanted to vent off his anger, an apparently endless source Midoriya had yet to understand. Well, being the punching bag would definitely not help. It was similar to the last time they did it, but now the problem was another, and Midoriya didn't have a clue about what it could be. So how was he supposed to resolve this? I'll have to fight, even if I don't know why he's so mad, he thought as he adopted his fight stance. Deku Midoriya flinched as he heard his nickname. Let me clarify it since your stupid face looks so confused. I'm going to beat you. Because you have to know your place. And that place is... A huge blast propelled Bakugo forward. Under my feet, you nerd. It started, Kirishima shouted as all the spectators became extremely focused in the battle. Every time those two were involved into a fight, something huge happened, be it an awesome comeback or a catastrophe of great proportions, not to mention that everyone got curious to know the results of their last match. Would it be the same? Reacting to the sudden attack, Midoriya activated full cowl and evaded Bakugo in the last second, but the blonde was quick on his moves and created another explosion to change his course in a sharp curve, going after Midoriya. The green-haired boy kept running from his rival, making use of the experience he gained with Gran Torino and jumping on the walls and pillars to evade Kaken. Different from the last fight, this terrain offered him much more maneuverability, since it wasn't a completely empty space, but only that would not give him an easy victory over Bakugo. For starts, moving like that for too long would wear him out at some point, and since he didn't have his Air Force gloves with him, Bakugo had the advantage of ranged attacks. The words of All Might echoed on his mind, telling him that he should not rely completely on support items. Still, it would help a lot now to have the gloves. Changing his tactics, Midoriya took impulse in a wall and jumped towards Bakugo. The sudden change surprised the explosive teen and gave Midoriya a tiny opening to attack, using his shoot style in a quick swing of his right leg. Unfortunately, Bakugo had the advantage in mid-air, and he managed to spin and evade the attack, thought Midoriya was flying too fast to be caught in a counterattack. Bakugo landed and shouted to the bouncing teen. Stop running away, green-haired piece of shit. Who is running away? Moving similar to Gran Torino, Midoriya jumped from wall to wall around Bakugo, getting on his blind spot for a second and then attacking. Bakugo quickly noticed and readied an explosion, but a shift in Midoriya's movements caught him by surprise. Instead of a kick coming from the side, Midoriya spun his body forward, bringing his left foot down to strike Bakugo, who was at least fast enough to block it with his arms. Manchester Smash. The powerful blow cracked the ground where Bakugo stood, and even though he felt his arms would break, he grabbed Midoriya by the leg with one hand, using the other to gain speed and spin in the air, resulting in a powerful toss that sent the green teen to a hard meeting with the floor some meter away. Gah, that move, it was... Do you think you are the only one that can learn a trick? But don't expect me to call it something stupid like Oklahoma Blast or some shit. Midoriya got up again, with some difficulty, but he managed to focus on the fight. Why, Kaken? Why do you want to fight with me so bad? Fight with you? You didn't get it. I plan to make this a one-sided slaughter, Bakugo said as he cracked his knuckles. He went into another attack, this time running at Midoriya. He brought his arms back and Midoriya reacted by jumping to evade the incoming tackle, but turns out Bakugo just kept running. Being in the air, Midoriya could not evade the true attack. a near point-blank upwards explosion that sent him and a lot of debris flying away. He barely rolled on the ground and stopped his inertia. Bakugo surged from the smoke with both hands forward. It would be a direct strike if Midoriya didn't use a last resort. Delaware smash. The gust of wind clashed with the powerful explosion, creating a strong updraft. It subdued, and the two were already exchanging punches and kicks again. Bakugo had to admit, having so many obstacles in the area gave Deku a way to catch up with his ability while in the air, and the damn nerd was actually matching his blasts with sheer strength. Not to mention the fact that he was much more skilled as a fighter than the last time they fought. But if Midoriya improved 10%, he would improve 20%. If Deku ran 10 miles non-stop, he would run 20. Even if he had the power of All Might, Bakugo would just hit harder with his explosions until Deku didn't have the strength to get up again. He was better than Deku at every single aspect. Bakugo was a cool dude, and Midoriya was a social wreck. Bakugo was a natural talent and could be considered a genius of combat. Deku just knew how to copy others and read their movements. Bakugo had a flawless skin, a trait he inherited from his mother, and his hairstyle was a blast. Compared to Deku's ugly face full of freckles, the scars the stupid nerd earned because he could not control his quirk, that mess of green hair that looked like a crow made a nest on his head. No matter how he looked, Bakugo was superior in every freaking way. And yet, why? Why? Huh? Between punches and blasts, Bakugo started to say and eventually shout things. Why you? Compared to me, you look worse than trash. I'm stronger, a better fighter, I don't have that dumb face, and I don't turn my body into useless shit every time I use my quirk. Bakugo brought down a hand, barely missing Midoriya, and created a huge explosion on the ground that sent both him and Midoriya flying. He miscalculated. He, Bakugo, made a mistake. He didn't do mistakes. Deku did. Even knowing this fact. Why, Deku? What is so special about you, you green pile of trash? Bakugo went on a barrage of explosions, punch after punch being deflected or avoided by Midoriya, but he was putting too much pressure. At this rate, Midoriya would end pretty bad. I can't stand it, you are a nothing, and you're always the center of attention. Midoriya this, Midoriya that. There's no way you can surpass me, you stupid. Is this why you're so upset? We already fought with each other over it. Shut up. Bakugo managed to break Midoriya's defense for a second, and with that opening he blasted him away, sending Midoriya to a cement wall, making a huge deformation on it. Midoriya fell from the wall, the front of his shirt completely burned. From the stinging sensation he felt, maybe there were some first-degree burns on his skin. It was hard to breathe, his ears were ringing and his vision was blurry, but he could see the form of Bakugo making his way to him. Midoriya tried to get up, but he ended stumbling back and leaning on the wall for support. On the sides of the fierce battle, all the guys watched terrified the development of things. Ida and Todoroki were about to go there and stop Bakugo from going too far. But Kirishima raised his arms, blocking the way. Kirishima-kun, we have to stop this pointless fight. It is clearly out of the bounds of training. Wait a minute, Ida. What are you thinking, Kirishima? The redhead turned to the ice-hot teen with a determined look. This is something between the two of them. Bakugo would never let himself lose control of his quirk, and just look at it, Midoriya is far from done. And so they watched Bakugo stand in front of Midoriya, then hold him up by his green hair. Listen here. No matter what you do, you will always be the same useless Deku. He leaned closer. It doesn't matter either how many dumb bitches you have around you. If I tried, I could have them all in a leash, and they would still adore me. This is another thing that I completely win over you. Just lay down as the virgin loser you are and diga. A single punch. A single punch to the guts and Bakugo was forced to shut up. Having the wind blown away from him, he didn't have choice and fell to his knees on the floor, holding his abs in pain. What the hell was that? One moment Deku was on verge of fainting, and on the other he landed a strong hit like that. What kind of bad joke was going on here? Bakugo wondered as he slowly got up, fighting back a small urge to throw up. That damn nerd! In front of him, cracking with energy, Midoriya stood on his feet, and something was different on his eyes. They were filled with something Bakugo had never seen on these emerald green orbs. Sheer anger. His fists were rolled into fists so tight that his knuckles were turning white. His whole body shook, but Bakugo didn't know if it was the effect of his attacks or the obviously boiling feelings inside the green-haired teen. Trying to act tough, shitty Deku? Shut up. Ah, I didn't hear your mumbling, Deku. Shut up. Keep that damn mouth closed. Silence fell for a moment. Even the spectators flinched at the unexpected burst. Just because we are friends for a long time, Kaken, I'll give you one chance. Take back what you said. What are you talking about? About them. Take that back. Oh, I get it. Your group of dumb bitches. No, I'm not taking it back. If they insist in staying around trash, then they are trash too. What will you do? Gonna cry about it? I warned you. He tensed his body, holding his fighting stance. His eyes never left Bakugo, who also readied himself. Something big was coming. 20%. He jumped forward, cracking the ground he was standing. He flew towards Bakugo at incredible speeds, his arm drawn back and all open to attacks. This thinks he can just defeat me with raw power? Bakugo had his hands rolled into fists all this time. He was sweating a lot and accumulated a food amount on his hands. He lifted his hands up, ready to release the blast. Detroit, smash. The impact was huge. It sent debris everywhere, and the shockwave shook the gym a bit. What was more surprising, the two monsters in form of teens were still standing. None of the spectators saw it, but if Bakugo had released his explosion, a second later, Midoriya would have landed the hit, and it was pretty clear it would make quite the damage to the blonde's face. They stood in front of each other, panting and all battered up. Bam! If I didn't have so much sweat on my hands, that would have sent me flying to Dreamland. Why this sudden burst? I didn't hear you say sorry, Kaken. For what? I won't let you talk shit about them and just walk off. You want me to say sorry? Then make me. I dare you to try. Midoriya powered up again and Bakugo was making small blasts on his hands. When they dashed to hit each other again, they both received a strong blow in their heads, making them kiss the cement floor. They struggled to get up, focusing at each other. They were at arm's distance, perfect to a punch in the face. They raised fists, but then felt a hand touch the back of their heads. I said enough. She slammed the head of the two teens together, making them collapse on the floor. Considering how much of her aroma she released, she was surprised that they still got up and tried to hit each other. Seriously, those stubborn brats. Midnight pinched the bridge of her nose, refusing to believe they were at it again. On the sides of the gym, the other students started to drift off too. Midnight was busy doing nothing the teacher's dorms when her phone rang. Aizawa asked her to go check on Gamma Gym. Apparently, some idiots of his class were causing trouble since the sensors detected some strong shockwaves. His guess, Bakugo was blasting something. With a sigh that she made clear he could hear, Mimiri made her way to the gym. Luckily, it was pretty close, and when she got there, what she found? Two brats beating the life out of each other for who knows the reason. She instantly released her quirk, filling the area with her aroma, but then the two fighting pulled up a trick and a strong explosion was made. She immediately became serious and worried just to see the two standing with their clothes tattered and burnt. She had to intervene, so she commanded them to stop. Be it because of the explosion or because they were just that stubborn, they completely ignored her, different from the other students that noticed her presence. Quickly moving to them, she gave a might knock on the heads of the two, effectively making them stop. Being so close to her and breathing like this, they would be asleep in no time, but once again surprised her and got up. You stubborn brats, didn't you hear? I said enough. And she slammed their heads together, finally making them stop. Seriously, what will I do with you? And that's what happened. fell asleep, but when I woke up midnight had already taken the two to the infirmary and said to us that they were under house arrest as long as she felt like. Also, she told us to not do something stupid like that or else we would join them. Kirishima finished scratching the back of his neck. Meanwhile, the girls were totally in shock. They didn't leave for a long time. It wasn't even the middle of the afternoon and all that happened. Worry took over their hearts and the harem instantly left to the infirmary, completely ignoring Kirishima, while he asked how did the shopping trip go. In no time they were at the infirmary. They just bust the door open, not even thinking if there were other patients here. They stopped dead on their tracks when they met with Recovery Girl, shushing them and lightly knocking the leader, Ochako, in the head with her injection-shaped walking stick. In a low yet authoritarian tone of voice, she inquired the girls, "What do you think you are doing entering here and making all that noise?" "Recovery Girl Sensei, we heard that Deku-kun got in a fight with Bakugo," Ochako whisper screamed, distress visible in her face. In fact, in everyone's faces. Chiyo took a deep breath and explained the situation. "Listen here, young ladies. If you don't know about this yet, I said I wasn't going to use my quirk to heal Midoriya if he ended with a broken bone or something like that." Gasps escaped their mouths. They were expecting the worst. The short nurse then released a relieved sigh. Luckily enough, he didn't break a single bone. Midoriya just had a lot of bruises, burns on his abdomen, and a small concussion. I gave him the treatment already, and he was just fine. Relief fell on the group of girls as they released their held breaths. "Ribbit, can we talk to him? We got pretty worried." "I fear that no, young lady. Forward starts, you all know how drained people feel when I use my quirk. Given the amount of gas he inhaled from Midnight's quirk and the amount of force she used to make him and Mr. Explodo Kills behave, I estimate he won't be waking up until late in the night." "Can we at least see him?" Momo asked, hoping to at least see his face. "You can ask Midnight if you want to, but I doubt she's going to release him soon. You heard from your friends that these two got house arrest, right?" "Yes, but why did Midnight Sensei take him? And shouldn't he be resting here?" Kyoka, confused with the whole situation, let her worry seep into her voice. As soon as his body was back in shape, she took him. He must be sound asleep now, but once he wakes up he's going to give her some answers. I believe two students don't start a fight like that for no reason, even if we are talking about these two. Now that she said it, why would they fight? Sure, there was an obvious rivalry between them. But to come to this point, what could have happened? They asked themselves as Recovery Girl ushered them out of the infirmary. In the end, she felt happy and proud that Midoriya somehow managed to keep his promise of not breaking his bones or exerting himself too much. The can of beer fizzled as Takayama Yu opened it, the third in the night. Closing the fridge door and taking a gulp of the cold drink, she returned to the couch she was lying previously. Her eyes trailed to the brunette with long hair across the room, busy reading a magazine and still in her hero suit, then to the sleeping green-haired teen sitting on a chair and held on it by some leather belts. She does have some of these things after all. So late night working? If you are bored, you can always leave. No, just wondering how much you'll have to wait until the sleeping beauty wakes up. Nimiri looked up from her reading and eyed the blonde, lying on her couch and emptying her stock of drinks. You surely felt in home. Given the amount of gas he inhaled and the blow on the head, he should keep like this for at least an hour. Really, it's almost 1 in the morning. What did this boy even do? He looks harmless. Yeah, Midoriya is not a troublemaker, but problems seem to always follow this guy here. Today was an exception as he got into a fight with a classmate. And if you had to stop them, I suppose it was pretty ugly. They were probably going to cause a permanent damage to each other. That said, there are some things I want to know before I extend the house arrest. They are going to be arrested anyway. The silence fell on the room again until Nimiri talked again. Oh, right. Thank you for the help with the patrol duty. We don't have much personnel to spare, so Principal Nedzu doesn't give permission to the students to go out. He made an exception considering that it was a request from 1A. Plus, the Hay are teens. We can't keep them caged. Oh right, the group of girls. No big deal. You pays very well, so feel free to call me whenever you need. You flashed a grin and took another gulp from the can in her hand. I have to say, it was kind of fun to watch them going around the stores. Remembers me of when I was in high school too, though they are pretty forward. Forward? What do you mean? Well, I'm talking about a bunch of girls choosing underwear like they were getting ready to hunt, if you get me. This took the interest of Nimiri as she put the magazine down and crossed her arms. Is that so? Now I'm curious. Finishing the drink, you got up, went to the fridge, and returned with 2 beers, tossing one to Nimiri and sitting back at the couch. I'm telling you, they were choosing like grown-up women, and I have to say, you have some bold students, Nimiri. Did you teach them that too? You had a sly grin crossing her lips. Of course not. What do you take me for? The +18 hero Midnight. Don't you think you can have some influence over the kids around here? Take Green Boy here for an example. I bet he has some hot dreams about you. Oh yes, because I'm the one who loves to show off in front of the cameras. Did you know a lot of kids watch the news? Oh, come on. You walk around the school in a skin-tight suit and carries a whip with you. But I can understand if you don't make the young ones drool all the time. You had a smug look as she implied something that ticked off the brunette. You want to explain that? I understand that not all the guys are into older women nowadays. Well, it's for the best, as they will focus on the studies instead of an old lady. Nimiri was visibly angry now, but managed to contain her temper to some level. She wasn't going to fall for the provocations of this cheeky blonde. I don't have the need to get all the attention, show off my fat ass to the cameras. Now you was pissed too. 1. I'm always taking care of my health. The TV makes people look larger. 2nd, it would be much easier if the old rags stopped showing off. Don't you think it's time for a retirement? Can't handle the competition. If appearance is the only thing you have to offer, then you better give up. Give up? Why don't you go back to the adult film you came from first? I heard there are some bridges needing to be lifted. This way you can just sit that lazy ass in place. They were almost growling at each other when a weak groan came from the still asleep Midoriya. Both turned to the teen as he mumbled something. Ochako. They stopped their arguing for a moment to look closer at him. Ochako? It's one of his classmates, a girl with a round face and a gravity quirk. Oh, that one. So he dreams about her. His girlfriend. Not that I know, but there are some rumors running around. Bet he is dreaming about a walk in the park or something. So, tight. They froze in place for a second. Did they hear him right? Okay, maybe not a walk in the park. Rumors, you said? Just normal gossip, probably, but apparently this boy here is very popular. Popular with the girls. Yes, and there's another thing I heard that makes me wonder how much it is just a rumor. He looks harmless, but you never know. He was at the Camino incident, right? He was, and wherever Midoriya goes problems seem to follow him. Midoriya, huh? He must be a strong one since he made this far, given what you said.
Yeah, he's pretty strong and very stubborn sometimes.
They ignored it. You and Nimiri ignored the sleep talk of the green-haired teen and the fact that he was probably having a lewd dream involving one of his classmates. One could say he was at that age, but they didn't accept the fact within themselves. Nimiri's eyes trailed to the sleeping teen tied on the chair, then to the blonde sitting on the couch, and to her surprise, Yu was looking away and, was she blushing? She definitely looked uneasy as she refused to look directly at the mumbling boy, yet her eyes moved slightly, catching glimpses of green hair. At this moment, an idea crossed Nimiri's head. She got up and stood in front of the boy, then told Yu to look at her. You, watch this. Huh? What do you want, eh? Nimiri? What are you doing? Nimiri put a finger in front of her lips as she watched the panicked expression of the blonde, wide-eyed and with her face completely red. SHHH, you are going to wake up everybody. Only Eraser keeps awake this late, she said calmly, as if her current activity was the most normal thing in the world. In fact, she even had a small smile on her lips. What she was doing. Right now, slightly crouched, Nimuri slowly moved up and down, her slender fingers wrapped around the boy's member, which was half hard. Making her best to keep her voice level low, Yu asked again, as the other woman clearly didn't understand her question. Nimuri, what the hell are you doing? She said in a whisper scream, and Nimuri answered in a normal tone. What, isn't it obvious? I'm giving this sleeping boy a hand job. That I can see. Why are you doing it? Are you crazy? Of course not. If not, you are the drunk one around here. And about why, I was curious. See, curious? Yes, I said I heard some things, right? Well, I got a small bit of a chat between this kid and his All Might, from all people, and guess what was the topic? You serious? Damn serious. All Might seemed to have done a good job, so I didn't say anything, but with the rumors I heard, I started to wonder if he was worth the shot. All Might? No, Midoriya here. Who's the drunk one here? Nimuri let out a light laugh. Ha ha ha, you, don't tell me you are still virgin. You flinched as she heard the word with V. Then somehow she managed to get even redder and lowered her head, looking to the sides and poking her index fingers together. What if I am? Not that I'm not sci shit. Nimuri laughed again, but not in a way to despise you. She genuinely found it to be funny. Wow, what a surprise. I thought that by now you had something going on with Kamui. Kaka Kamui? No way, we are just good friends, and he's older than me. Your choice, no big deal. But coming to think about it, it's been a while since the last time I... Ah, stop, too much information. Ha, don't be so embarrassed, there's nothing wrong in talking about it. We are both women and colleagues, right? Sure, what's wrong is that you're still jerking him off. Oh, but doesn't he look cute this way? Look, he must be dreaming of Uraraka doing this to him. But given what he mumbled earlier, I think it's a little bit further, right? I'll leave to you imagine that. To think that MT, lady, the one who loves to show off and taunt with her looks, would be all shy and embarrassed when talking about sex. The silence fell again, and now you could clearly hear the small and low moans coming from the asleep teen. He kept mumbling and calling names while Nimuri moved her hand gently, her eyes never leaving his face. She seemed to be completely lost while she stared at him, looking at every detail. And then, without averting her gaze from the boy, Nimuri made a question that shocked you, if she could be even more than now. You. What? Want to have him? That's it. You are definitely drunk. Finally letting go of the boy, Nimuri got up and unfastened the belts holding Midoriya, then picked him up and carried over her shoulder. Passing by you, she took her by the hand and led the confused and slightly panicked blonde to her bedroom. Once inside, she made you sit on her bed and let Midoriya fall on it. Okay, take out. Huh? Take out what? What else? Your bodysuit. Why would I take it off? You don't have the convenience of having a costume easy rip like mine. So, what are you up waiting? Forget that shit about your costume. Why the hell I should get naked? Wait, are you implying that I should have, with him? It's an opportunity. He won't wake up for at least half an hour, and he's all ready. Look, Nimuri pointed to the still hard member of the boy lying on her bed, and you caught herself staring at him more than she should. Damn, she should not stare at all. Nimuri, he's a kid. He must have 15 years tops. Actually 16 years. Oh, now it's fine. You seriously considered that? Well, I won't lie, Midoriya is a handsome young man, and as I was saying, it has been a while since the last time I had some fun, and you're still virgin, so I thought, why not? Thanks for remembering me of this. Anyway, you could get in jail for this. Only if you tell someone. Come on, you know you want it. Nimuri gently turned you around, forcing her to at least look at the direction of the asleep teen. She rested her hands on Yu's shoulders and she leaned to talk on her ears. Look at him, Yu, all peaceful outside and dreaming with who knows what. You should get to know him, he's such a sweetheart and very strong too. You don't find many boys with a body like that around. I'm older than him. Yeah, so what? It will be fun, and he won't even remember. Take this as a training. Tea training? Yep, you get used to the feeling without much harm done, though I must admit he surprised me with that size. What do you say? The more Yu looked at the boy sleeping in front of her, more her mind raced around this. The alcohol must be getting to her head because she was starting to seriously consider the offer Nimiri was making. This Midoriya boy looked handsome, she would not deny, and Nimiri was right about his size too. It was impressive for someone at his age, and after all that talk she was starting to feel a bit hot, less because of embarrassing, more because of her hormones. Damn, when did I turn into a teenager again? It didn't help either that Nimiri was kind of putting her in the mood. The hands on her shoulders squeezed lightly, pressing her muscles and washing away a tension she wasn't aware of. Said hands slowly made their way to her arms, then her sides and midsection. Nimiri made small circles on Yu's abs, going up inch by inch until she found the blonde's chest. She gently caressed them, making Yu get more and more lightheaded, until she heard a small moan escape her lips. At this moment Yu understood what was happening, stiffening a bit. Hey, easy there, I won't bite. Hee, only if you want. Her hands made their way to Yu's waist, then to her toned tights, getting very near her private parts, but not really touching, which made Yu anxious. She was provoking her, threatening to do something just to back off. It made Yu frustrated. She wanted to do something about the heat that appeared inside her. Nimiri. Feeling in the mood now? You old rag, do you know what you're doing? Yes, I'm helping my friend to lose her virginity with a handsome asleep guy. You forgot the part where he's underaged. But you won't let that stop you now, will you? Sigh, I shouldn't have had so many drinks, Yu said as she started to remove her boots. That's the spirit. Nimiri helped her to take off the bodysuit. Before she knew, Yu was only on her blue panties and strapless bra. Nimiri was quick on getting Midoriya ready, tossing away the spare shirt he was using and his shorts. Yu sat on top of the boy, feeling the heat of his body on her skin. Both women stared at his toned chest, rising and falling in steady motion. The blonde felt slender fingers run around her hips, sending shivers down her spine. She was about to complain with Nimiri, but the words never came as she captured Yu on a kiss, making her go stiff for a second. Relax. If you get all tensed up like this, it won't be good. Then stop teasing me. You know you love it. Damn it. What am I even doing? Yu lifted herself a bit, and Nimiri helped her adjust over Midoriya. The more she looked at the sleeping boy, more her doubts vanished in the thick mist her mind was right now. Oh, screw everything. Yu slowly lowered herself on his shaft, feeling the heat of his member entering her folds. She started to take sharp breaths, feeling her legs shaking a bit. At some point she felt some resistance. Knowing what it was, Yu hesitated for a moment, but then Nimiri rested a hand on her shoulder, while the other rubbed and pinched between her legs. The brunette put some strength, making Yu lower herself more while she sucked at the base of her neck. Yu winced when she felt her hymen stretch, and a small cry escaped her lips when it broke. Following Nimiri's directions, she just stood still until the pain washed away. You sure have experience with these things. I'll take that as a compliment. It was. This is awesome, though I hate to admit. It only gets better. Following Nimiri's lead, he started to move her hips back and forth, making circles on the lap of the sleeping teen, who let out low moans now and then. He looks so cute with that face. Be careful, you might fall in love with him. What? Don't be silly. I would never fall in love with this beautiful kid. Nimiri noticed the alcohol was starting to affect her blonde friends. Well, at least she was more at ease, but she wished Yu could remember clearly of her first time, even if it was with an underage student. Yu now leaned on her hands and moved her hips up until his member came out of her wet hole. Ops, that won't do. It has to go back in there, she said as she used her hand to guide his member inside her again. Yu moved slowly, going up and down along the entire length of Midoriya's member. She breathed with her mouth, moaning and sometimes talking with the knocked-out boy under her. Meanwhile, Nimuri took the opportunity to tend to her own urges, reaching for something on top of the drawer beside her bed. Nimuri, ah damn, why did I? Ah took so long to do this. Oh my ah so good, he feels so good inside me. Oi you might want to stop soon. Ah. What are you talking about? I don't want to stop. You don't want to have children already, do you? No, but I want more I want more of him you want to? Right, Midoriya. Yes. He's asleep. He can't hear you, you drunk. And he knows what I am saying. Look he's smiling. He's loving it too I'll say again, you should stop. Nimuri, I want to came for him I want him to climax with me. Shit, okay? Get your drunk ass off of my student. I don't want any problems with his family. No way. Yu leaned in and wrapped her arms around Midoriya the moment Nimuri moved. She moved her hips faster, slamming their bodies together. Her walls clenched his member, and she felt him stirring under her. She pressed her whole body against his, feeling his heat emanating and warming her up. And then, something neither she or Nimuri were expecting. From his body, sparks started to fly and Yu felt him tense up. She sped up some more, digging her face under his neck and taking on his scent. There was the smell of sweat, but a faint scent of cinnamon and mint. It was probably the alcohol on her blood, but she found the mix to be intoxicating. The fire inside her increased tenfold. She was near her limit, and apparently he was too. It would be her first time, and even though there was a risk, right now Yu didn't care. She wanted everything from him.
I'm gonna.
She came, and to her surprise Midoriya came together with her. Her eyes shut tight as she felt a huge wave of his hot seed filling her inside. She hugged him even tighter. Yu was panting, feeling on fire and dizzy, but it all felt good to her. Now that I noticed, this whole time you kept your mask. Is this some kind of fetish? Don't ruin my moment, Nimuri. Is that a phone on your hand? Yes, it is. Oh, hold that pose. The shot Nimuri took. Yu, completely naked except for her mask, leaning her hands on the bed and sitting on top of an asleep Midoriya with his clothes also missing. Her mouth was slightly agape, her eyes were wide open, and her pupils almost vanished. A red blush from alcohol adorned her cheeks. Maybe the photo was unnecessary because Yu seemed to have turned into a statue. It took her a minute to process what happened and react again. Why did you do that? Oh, I don't know. The scene was so hot, I wanted to keep it. Delete this. Nope, I got some really good material here. Yu practically jumped from her place and tried to take the phone from Nimuri, but the brunette had the advantage of being sober, easily holding her back with a foot. Nimuri, delete this. You can't show this to anyone. Of course not. Are you drunk and stupid now? How could I show one of my students in such an illicit act? Oh, there's your reputation too. Then what are you going to do with it? Tears started to form in the corners of her eyes. I'll keep it. Why would you keep it just for yourself? Knowing that I have this makes you worried, right? Of course. Then I need no more reason than this. Nimuri flashed a sadistic grin as she waved the phone in front of you. Relax, it won't work as blackmail because I would get involved too. Now you might want to get up and take a shower and change back into your clothes. Your little love is going to wake up any time now. Oh right, the blonde scurried out of the bed, grabbed her clothes on the floor and rushed to the shower as fast as her drunk state allowed her, but she poked her head back from the corner and pointed at Nimuri. And he's not my little love. Shaking her head and laughing with herself, Nimuri got up and fixed Midoriya, cleaning the mess and putting his clothes on again. She reached for something under her bed and then carried the boy back to the chair he was before. Some minutes later, the boy finally woke up. Confused and with his mind foggy, Midoriya had to open his eyes slowly to adjust to the light, even if it was quite dim. He heard a voice in the distance. It sounded familiar, but he didn't manage to identify it. More important, where he was. What he was doing before he blacked out. I was going to the gym with the guys, then Kaken appeared, and we fought against each other. We fought. Wait, his head shot up. Kaken? Guys? Huh? Where's everyone? Where am I? Am I tied? Why am I tied? Midoriya felt slender fingers cup his face and turn his head, making him meet with a pair of bright blue orbs behind a red mask. The orbs were focused on him on his eyes, but he felt that they were staring intensely at his very soul. As they distanced from his face, he was able to identify the person in front of him. Midnight. She tilted her head to the side and had a small smile on her lips. Ah, you're finally awake. Did you have good dreams? Huh? I was sleeping all this time? Yes, but that was to be expected. You received some hard blows and strong hit on the head, not to mention you inhaled a lot of my scent. I did, but I was Her gentle expression was gone. Midnight now held a serious face. Yes, Your little fight with Bakugo activated the seismic sensor at Gamma Gym, and Aizawa asked me to check on what was going, and what do I find? 2 idiots trying to make someone lose an eye or a leg. Care to explain? Midoriya was silent. He knew he did something wrong, but after what Bakugo said about the girls, he couldn't find a trace of guilty for fighting with him. That aside, the reason for their fight was obvious. Bakugo wanted to beat him because he felt like Kaken said he wanted to fight, and knowing him, he would not stop until he got what he wanted. So you just went there and almost broke a limb, again. Midoriya lowered his head. He wasn't feeling any pain related to his bones, and if Recovery Girl took care of his wounds, it meant he didn't break anything. A small smile formed on his mouth. At least this fight had a positive point. You better wipe away that smile from your face. It isn't something to feel proud of since the start was all wrong. Sure. So, why did you two fight? By now, I understand you and Bakugo have your disagreements, but expect a big problem to result in this. Now, what he should say. From what he understood, Bakugo was mad because he had been getting a lot of attention from the girls, and it obviously pissed him off because it was Midoriya. So he felt jealous or something. Did he like someone of his harem, and that's why he was so angry? He did say he was better, in his humble opinion, so he was just being a damn narcissist that didn't know how to accept the fact that he wasn't the center of the world. Midoriya, unfortunately, I've never learned how to understand mumbling. Can you speak in a way I can follow? Sorry, well, Kaken and I, we fought because. What do I say now? If I tell Midnight that he was mad because I had been getting the attention of the girls, she's going to ask more about it, and it can lead her to think I date one of them. Not that this is too bad, but I wanted to keep this a secret from the teachers. The less they know, the better. You better think of a very convincing lie if you are going to tell me one. She cut him before he could say another word. Her stare intensified. Is it that hard to tell, huh? Why don't we play a little game? A game? Yes, a game. It's simple, really. I ask the questions and you answer them. If you tell the truth, nothing happens. Tell me a lie. Midoriya swallowed dry. He was sure nothing bad would happen to him. It was Midnight, after all, a hero, but the fact that he was tied to a chair made him wary and quite nervous. First question. Did you sleep well? I don't get it. Just answer. Why, yeah, I feel like new. Good. Now, did you have a dream while you were knocked out? I think so. Third question. Do you remember how it was, this dream? Midoriya tried to bring back the memories of the dream he had. What was this about again? Let's see, he had someone with him, someone close to him. And she wasn't alone. So it was a girl, and they were not alone. After some thought, he remembered his dream, and in a second he became red as a tomato. But sorry, I can't remember well of it. She stood still for a moment, then rested her right hand on his shoulder. He flinched a bit at her touch. Well, what a shame. Let's refresh your memory then. You dreamed with a girl, right? With a girl? I don't know. She got closer to him. Was it a girl from your class? I can't remember. She crouched a bit, getting on eye level with him. You two were together in a very intimate way. I don't think so. My mind was kind of foggy. She got on her knees and leaned on his legs with her arms, keeping a few inches between their faces. The proximity obviously made Midoriya nervous as he got even redder and she could practically hear his heartbeat. Midoriya, you should not tell lies. You are terrible at it. And no, I'm not. But you can keep trying. You know, I love it when someone resists. Huh? Her hands started to work on his legs, slender fingers caressing his thighs, getting near his private places. I have been hearing some rumors running around the school. The gossip net is like an underground info network. Do you know what they were about? Who knows? A lot of girls were talking about a certain someone. A person they were calling the Beast of 1A. His eyes widened a bit. Really? It could be Kaken. After the impression he left during the sports festival, Midoriya slowly averted his eyes from the woman in front of him, but she cupped his cheeks and made him face her again. Hey, my face is right here. Can't look at me now. Sorry. The rumors are just that, rumors, but they tend to have a truth behind them. Do you know anything about it? No, not at all. She used her hands to spread his legs apart, though he tried to resist. Her hands kept rubbing his legs much closer to his privates. I love to see you getting all nervous like this. It makes the sadist in me ache to play. I think you know who is the real person behind the rumors. It's you, isn't it? He remained silent and lowered his head again, but this time his eyes found the ample chest of Midnight, and he froze in place for a second before shutting his eyes closed. Hey, my eyes are up here, but I don't mind you staring at me. Do you like what you see? She put a hand under his chin and lifted his head. Midoriya slowly opened his eyes. Do you think I'm pretty? Huh? Yes, sure. Is there someone else you think it's pretty? Like Uraraka-san, for example? Well, I guess so. The girls from your class, they seem to be good friends of you. Yes, they are very nice. Finally, some truths. It looks like they are very close to you. What do you think about it? We do hang out, but I wouldn't say we are that close. I'll tell you what I think. Your fight with Bakugo started because he felt envy of you. Knowing the boy, it could be about anything that you had, like the provisional license or something like that, but it was more personal. After seeing you surrounded by girls and seeing them being so nice to you, he got mad. Why would they stick to you when he was present? So to prove that he was better than you, Bakugo challenged you to a fight. If what I heard from Aizawa was true, then you only really fought back when something important got involved. This important thing would be your girlfriends, right? He said something about them, and you also got mad, almost resulting in a catastrophe. So, did I get everything right so far? I'll take that as a yes. Continuing, there has to be something else. You don't go there and fight like this, just someone is dissing your friends. Say, Midoriya, how intimate you are with them. Maybe you even date one of them. Who it is? Uraraka? Asui? Or maybe you prefer someone with more appeal like Yaoyorozu. Oh, did I hit the mark? Or am I still missing something? I think I got it. Back to your dream, by the way you were talking, you are sticking with all of them, am I right? His eyes widened. I was, speaking while asleep. Yes, you were. It must have been a really nice dream. I wonder if it is something you wanted to happen, or something that already happened. I don't know what you are talking about. You know it well. Midoriya, you are such a good student, with good grades and lots of effort and dedication. You always come up with a new trick, a box full of surprises, so I learned to always expect the unexpected from you. Do you know what they say about quiet people like you? No. The quiet ones are the most dangerous. She leaned closer to him, pressing her chest on his, and whispered in his ear. You had a very vivid dream, didn't you? Why do you say that? That was to be expected. Here, look at this. She moved to the back of the chair, wrapping her arms around his torso and holding her phone in front of him. She rested her chin on his shoulder. Midoriya could not believe in the video he was seeing. A blonde woman, MT, lady apparently, on top of him, all naked. It couldn't be. During his sleep. So the reason his dream felt so real was that. Midoriya, how many times did you do it already? 1, 2, or more than you can count? If you ever want to brag about it, you should keep track of this numbers. No, I didn't. Hhhh, don't deny it. You may tell me no, but your body is telling me otherwise. She pointed to the bulge on his shorts between his legs. If someone could die out of embarrassment, Midoriya was close to it. It all makes sense now. And to think you even went to All Might and asked about these things. You heard that too. Just the last part where he said it was okay to you to date someone. Could not have just one girl, you greedy boy? Or perhaps, just one girl can't handle you. It's not like that, In a sudden move, Midnight moved a hand down and took a hold of the bulge between his legs, surprising the teen. Her grasp didn't hurt him, but it was quite strong. He tried to close his legs in reflex, but she held one of them with the other hand. She squeezed a little harder and his strength decreased. Having Midoriya more subdued, she brought a hand under his chin, lifting his head while still holding his private parts. You know, Midoriya, you are such a naughty boy, not like that midget Mainta or Kaminari. You are on a whole different level. I could turn you into an excellent M-type, but I think this would be a waste of high-quality boy material. What do you mean? I want to turn you into a better you like any teacher. You seem to have a natural talent, otherwise there wouldn't be so many girls after you. Such a rough diamond, perfect for me to work on. Midnight Sensei, we can't do it. Why not? It's not like you never did it before. Well, I am a student and you are a teacher, so we should not. She placed a finger on his lips. Hhhh, don't say something like this. Your little group already reached another class, from what I heard, so if you wanted to keep the image of a model student, you should have thought about it before. But you are, I'm still underage and all. Oh, so I'm not on your league? You only get laid with girls at your age? Do I look that old to you? No, you don't look old. The problem is, Midoriya, do I turn you on? Do I get you aroused? You like to stare at my body? Sure. I didn't hear it. Why, yes, you do turn me on, Midnight Sensei. Please don't say it in such a sad tone. It hurts me this way. Sorry, she whispered in his ears again. If you are so sorry, why don't you do me a favor? A favor? She removed the cuffs from his wrists. All this time he was cuffed and his wrists were starting to feel sore. Before he noticed, Midnight locked the handcuffs again, but now in front of him, and then shoved him up in her shoulder, carrying Midoriya like a sack of potatoes. Midnight waked to her bed and let him fall there, then lifted his arms and locked the handcuffs to a chain on the headboard. Midoriya just stood there, confused and with his face bright red. Midnight Sensei, what is this favor about? She slowly crawled on the bed until she was hovering above him, her face inches away from his. It has been a long time since I had some fun. I brought you here because I wanted to know the reason for the fight. Now that I know, why not use the free time? I am sure you can find a better person. I'm still just a teen after all. Don't think so poorly of yourself. Don't you remember that I saw you with you? I know when someone has potential. But, hhhh, no buts. Come on, I want to teach something nice. I can't. No matter what happens, I can't do this with you. Not with anyone besides them. Oh? Why, I must ask. I promised them. I promised I would not get laid with any girl that came around. Well, good thing I'm a grown-up woman. Midnight Sensei, they'll get mad. You think I can handle a bunch of angry teens full of hormones? What do you take me for? That's not it. I don't want to disappoint them, to make them feel sad. You really? He looked straight at her bright blue eyes. I really love them. Every single one of them. It may sound like an excuse or ridiculous, but I love all my girlfriends equally, and I don't want to make them feel sad or betray them. Ridiculous? I would never say something like that about the true feelings of someone. Really? Yes. I admire you for having such strong feelings at your age. It makes you an even more special boy. Midoriya let out a relieved sigh. But we are still going to do it. I'm not giving up on this. His worry was back at full charge. But you just said, yes, I recognize your feelings, but I'm still craving for some action, and you are already here, so deal with it. Try to resist me. Do your best to don't feel good while I'm at it. If you love them so much, it should be easy, right? Do you actually think I can do it? No, but I'd like to see you try really hard. I already said, I love it when you resist, Midnight said as she licked her lips. Her sadistic aura flared up, making Midoriya regret the damn time he accepted Kaken's challenge. Trying to resist the appeal of Midnight was like holding against an avalanche, but he was going to do his best for the girls he held dear in his heart. Midnight lifted his shirt until it was at his cuffed wrists, exposing his chest and arms. She then started to run her hands, exploring his body and feeling his muscles. Every touch made him shudder a bit or gave him small goosebumps, and she found these to be extremely amusing. He was actually trying to resist, keeping a slightly serious face and avoiding to look at her. Now she was determined to see how long he could put up with this. She planted kisses on his abs, making a trail up to his chest, neck, and cheeks, proceeding to capture his lips in a deep one. Much more skilled than the green-haired teen, it was easy for her to invade his mouth, exploring and feeling his taste with her tongue while moaning. Midoriya was actually really good to kiss, she thought. By the way he started to struggle, Midoriya was probably feeling the need to breathe, but she kept kissing him until his eyes flashed desperation. As she broke the kiss, leaving a trail behind, he gasped for air. His lungs ached, but the feeling of finally being able to breathe after being deprived of it was slightly exhilarating. Ops, let's not get too cheerful. I'm not feeling pant like that. Then what is this smile on your mouth for? He stopped for a moment. Midoriya was unconsciously smiling. Well, it was to be expected. It was Midnight teasing him after all, but he hoped his will was a little stronger than that. Far from satisfied, Midnight resumed to kiss him, changing from his lips to his neck and to small nibbles at the tip of his ears, while her skilled hands made their way down his torso to his waist, removing and tossing away his shorts. She rubbed her hands over the bulge on his underwear, making Midoriya close his eyes in an attempt to focus. His gasps and suppressed moans only made her more and more eager to take him. Finally getting rid of the last piece of clothing, Midnight sat on the bed between his spread legs, effectively capturing his attention with the paws. He swallowed dry as he looked at her lustful look and her sadistic smile as her eyes slowly trailed down to his hard member. He hated to admit, but the way she licked her lips was at the same time intimidating and really hot. Midoriya flinched and turned his head to the side when he felt her slender fingers and delicate hand wrap around his member. But Midnight reached with her free hand and cupped his cheeks, making him look at her again. He looked aside again but received a slap on the face and was forced to look at her in a rougher way. Maybe it was the shock, but his brain didn't process what happened right, so he moved his head again and gained another slap before being forced to look at her once again. The grin on her face only widened. She slowly moved her hands, stroking his hard member and caressing his cheeks, which still stung a bit from the slaps. She leaned closer to him, almost sitting on his lap, then started to rock back and forth, rubbing his length on the fabric of her black leotard. She was begging internally to him to look away again, and so he did. His cheeks were so soft to the touch, she couldn't help but slap them, hold them in her hands. She could really turn him into an M, but she felt that it would narrow too much her options. Midnight was sure she found a gold mine. The dark-haired hero backed off a little, still with his attention at her, and then put her hands on her collarbones. She pinched the thin, milky white fabric and slowly pulled it, slowly ripping it off until her huge bosoms were exposed. "Don't drool," she said as Midoriya seemed too caught up in the scene she made. Lowering herself, Midnight enveloped his member with her bosoms, fondling and moving them up and down. His eyes were glued on the ceiling, but she was sure he was lost in pleasure. His ragged breath was enough proof of it, and yet he still tried. Midoriya maintained a neutral face as much as he could, with wasn't really much, but he was trying with all his might to resist her. Just the way she liked it. Midnight looked down at the rod between her mounds. It begged to be sucked, and so she did, licking the tip at first. Her tongue made circles around the head and slightly parted the tiny slit in the middle, making Midoriya moan and shake although he tried to resist. It must feel too damn good to him, and she was pretty aware of it. Midnight then sucked the tip of his member while she moved her bosoms up and down. His suppressed voice sounded like music to her ears. And then she reached the point she was looking for. His eyes shut tight and sparks came out of his body as his member twitched a bit. At this moment, Midnight stopped moving completely, and the surge of energy vanished as quick as it appeared. She held her sadistic face as the short-breathed teen looked down at her with confusion all over his red face. "Oh, you wanted to came?" she laughed with her mouth closed. "Only when I say you can." And then, something that surprised her. A small smile appeared on his flushed face. "I already heard that. Oh, so we have a bossy girl around, but you should know better than put me at the same level." She returned to move her mounds again, licking his member like a lollipop. No matter how much he focused, Midoriya could not stop himself from letting out moans and grunts. This woman was just too good at what she was doing. Her bosoms looked and soft and silky as they wrapped around his member, and the way she licked him made him shudder and even arc his back a little. He was sure his eyes were rolling up a little. Did he make the girls feel like this? Damn it, Izuku, have some self-control. I can't by any means enjoy it. She might give up if I keep resisting her. Probably. I hope she does. Midoriya told himself that, but he felt the surge of energy again. He was about to explode, but in the last second she stopped again, straightening her back and watching his sparking form vanish, leaving behind a slightly tired Midoriya with a frustrated face. He didn't manage to hide it as well as he wanted, since Midoriya himself wasn't fully aware he felt like that. Always with the sadistic grin and eyes of a predator, Midnight made her next move and lifted Midoriya up and holding his legs, putting them on her shoulders, then started to suck his balls while giving him another hand job. Midoriya gritted his teeth and hissed, trying to stop himself from letting out any noises, but failed to do so. He lifted his eyes a bit and after tea, he could not avert them from the scene in front of him. Midnight alternated from sucking his balls to run her tongue over his member, always looking at him, taunting him to release his seed. What was the point of doing this if she would not let him? Was she really having fun with simply making him feel frustrated? "Are you frustrated?" she said as if she had read his mind. "It's normal that you would feel like that. Lick after all, I'm teasing you so much suck, but if you feel frustrated, it means you want something. And that you must be really liking what I'm doing. Say that you are not. I want to see you try." He was about to say something, but she cut him by shoving his member inside her mouth. She used her hands to move him while she bobbed her head, taking his entire length in and out of her mouth. She sucked him with such intensity that he felt she would drain his life force. Was she a succubus? His quirk activated once again, but before he could reach his limit, she stopped and let him fall on the bed again. The energy vanished, and now Midoriya was clearly annoyed, behind the flushed face. Midnight, on the other hand, couldn't feel happier as her grin only widened. "Just finish this already, damn it." "You wished I did, right? I warned you, Midoriya. Don't put me on the same level as your girlfriends. They are at least 10 years behind me. Then what gasp do you gain huff with all this? Why tease me so much?" "Because it's fun. There are many ways a sadist like me can enjoy having sex. For example." She held his penis and bent it in the half just a little, but that was enough to make Midoriya wince in pain and grit his teeth to hold back a scream. His eyes widened as she added more pressure on her hold before freeing him. Do you prefer the classic S&M? I thought of doing something different, but if you are into that type then... No, it's fine the way you are doing now, he said without thinking, so now he wanted to cover his mouth. Oh-ho, eager to continue our little game? No, you just admitted you liked what I did so far. How do you feel about it? Guilty. Come on, don't feel bad. I'll let you imagine that I'm the mean woman that forced you on this. You did force me on this. Oh, really? And why didn't you just use your power-up quirk to break these fake handcuffs and leave? Given your speed increase, my scent would not affect you before you crossed that door. His eyes widened in realization. He never thought of using his quirk to escape. Now Midoriya felt like the most stupid person in the world. Why didn't he think of this sooner? Was it because she was a teacher and a pro-hero? Midnight could not say a thing about what she was doing, so she would be unable to punish him later if he escaped. The answer is simple. The moment you understood what was going to happen, you wanted it to happen. You wanted to be where you are right now. He took a deep breath in. This fact hit him in the face like a Detroit smash. Okay, you won, Sensei. I give up. Slap! He was cut by a sudden move and his head turned to the side. With the stinging sensation came the touch of her hand as she made him face her again. Was she angry at him? You are not giving up. I won't let you. What? Is that all it takes to break you? Please, I didn't even get started. You are not making sense now. Not that this whole situation makes sense anyways. Huh? Didn't you say you loved your girlfriends? Then show me. You can't convince me if you just give up now. How am I supposed to prove that? Surprise me. Try to imagine them instead of me. I don't want to know what you come up with. Just make something about it. He was about to complain again, but something crossed his mind. A very special someone once told me, when you are with a girl, you have to give her your full attention. There it was. Midnight was looking for that determined look in his eyes. Her sadistic aura flared up again. Who told you that? Momo. She's very demanding. So we found the bossy one. Maybe I should have a small chat with her, she said the last part to herself. So be it. Keep trying to resist me. I'm going to break your will with sheer pleasure. Given how many times Midoriya found himself facing strong opponents, he got used to say his own comebacks, but he got speechless when Midnight started to remove her leotard. The belt was tossed away and her stockings were next. She now stood in front of him with only the white fabric covering her body, already revealing her ample bosom. His eyes instinctively trailed down to her waist and a little further below, and he found a darker mark between her legs. He swallowed dry. Oh no. Midnight even made a pose, putting one hand behind her neck while the other traveled down and rubbed her wet place, looking at the cuffed teen with lustful eyes, licking her lips like a hungry tigress. Oh yes, you know what happens next, don't you? I have so many things I want to teach you, my naughty boy, but don't get me wrong, my main objective is to have a good time. For some reason, the words of his Mentos echoed in his head. Heroes also had their own lives. Midnight said she didn't do it in a long time, so she was just talking the opportunity like she said. It happened that he was around, or so he believed. One thing was the girls from the same year he was falling in love with him. Midnight was a grown-up woman tending to a need that apparently got ignored for a long time. Maybe it was his heroic instinct kicking in, but now he felt he had to do it, even if he was feeling guilty. No, stop that. She won't like it if I act like I'm doing this for her. Plus, Midnight is right. I must keep the girls in mind. This doesn't affect me in any way, I guess. Midoriya, look here. He followed the direction she pointed, downwards, and what he saw was that she ripped the fabric between her legs, letting her completely exposed. Seeing her move her fingers around and playing with her bosoms managed to catch his complete attention. So much that she snapped her fingers to bring him back to earth. She hovered above him and flashed another lusty smile. Don't go crazy. She lowered herself and took his entire member inside her, then sat on his lap with her back straight and started to rock her hips back and forth, and move them in circles in a wild manner that made his eyes go wide open. Midoriya was actually having some difficulty to breathe. Her hands were on his chest and ran freely around. The tips of her nails scratched his skin very lightly, making him shudder at every touch. Midnight was too intense for him, and even though she wasn't close to the tightness of Ochako, Mina, or Momo, just to compare, Midoriya felt like he would explode. In fact, his quirk activated, and he felt his climax near, but before he could reach it, she came to a halt, getting off of his shaft and locking him into a heated, deep kiss. Like last time, she kept him like this until his lungs begged for air. She didn't let him catch his breath as she was against inserting his member inside her wet and hot part. Midnight moved her hips at an impressive speed, going all the way up and then slamming their bodies together. The way she did it put a lot of pressure on him, but it felt so good he could not care about it a single bit. Midoriya was in an internal struggle to convince himself this didn't mean anything to him, but he was losing, and losing hard. How did she think he would ignore her when she had him so wildly and kept her bright blue eyes focused on his green ones? It was like she wanted to devour him in every single way. Another surge of one for all came, and again she stopped before Midoriya could climax. By now the piled-up tension was killing him. Another session of breathtaking kissing, while her hands ran free over his chest, arms, abs, legs. They caressed his whole body, and once he was not sparking anymore, Midnight quickly got up and made Midoriya sit with his back against the head of the bed. She released his cuffs from the chain and put his arms around her neck. She pressed her body as close as she could to his, put his member inside again, and started to move her hips again at great speeds. With every thrust, Midoriya felt her mounds press against his chest. They felt as silky as they looked. Her hands held his ass, giving him a squeeze now and then. Damn, Midoriya, what a delicious member you have. It's been so long, since the last time, a member so good. If he could talk, Midoriya would say that her private part also felt delicious, completely amazing. She wasn't tight like the girls, probably because she was fully grown woman, but it didn't make her any less stunning. The way she moved made him reach places and hit spots in a way he never did before, not that he was really aware of it. Once again the sparks flew of his body and Midnight stopped moving, but this time instead of a kiss she buried his face in her great valley. She adjusted a bit to let him move some more. Come on, suck on them. Let's see how skilled you are. I don't think I didn't ask what you think. It was an order. You are familiar with those, right? She took his arms out from her neck and pretty much forced him to suck at her right bosoms, almost like a mother feeding a baby. Does my little naughty boy likes mommy's boobs? You like them, don't you? Hold them for mommy. She guided his cuffed hands to her free bosoms. At this point there was little he could do against her, so Midoriya ended doing what she wanted. She let out moans, leaving it clear that she was liking it. Very good. Did you learn this alone? But you have to cup them like this, squeeze harder. Don't be afraid to explore the limits of your girls. Here, try to twist my tits a bit. She moved him, and he changed for her other bosom, while he played with her free bosom, pinching and twisting her nipple. Oh yeah, like that. You are a faster learner, she said as she ruffled his green locks. In another sudden move, Midnight lay down on the bed and brought Midoriya with her, then moved his head to between her legs. You know what to do. Midoriya didn't even have time to question as she forced his face on her private part. He got surprised, but recovered quickly and started to lick inside her folds, tasting some of her juices. He felt her legs covered in the white fabric squirm around him as she kept moaning. She lifted her waist a bit and pressed his head more. Here. This way you can reach further. Oh, yes, that's the spot. Damn it. She kept moaning and making loud noises while she ran her hands across his hair, sometimes pulling a bit. Get ready, Midoriya, I'm about to climax. Don't let a single drop of them be wasted. He heard her and felt her legs wrapping around him, so he had to support her. Midoriya noted and registered with fire in the back of his mind that Midnight's ass was round and smooth as hell. One last push from her hands and she orgasmed, releasing her juices so he could try to catch them. Having some practice, Midoriya managed to wipe her clean, much to Midnight's pleasure. "All right, keep going on that," she said before she held him and made Midoriya turn so now his crotch was over her face. He could practically see her smiling while she sucked his member. It was much harder to lick her when she was doing it. Another shift in positions. She got up, made him lay on the bed and lay by his side with her backs facing him. She put his arms around her neck and lifted her right leg. In this position you can hit other spots. Try with one of the most sensitives, she'll go crazy. "You are actually teaching me." "Of course, I'm a teacher after all. Now, less talking, more doing." Midoriya did as she said and put his member inside her again, moving slowly at first, but Midnight pulled his arms by the handcuffs. "Faster, I'm not a novice on this." He sped up and hit harder, managing to earn some moans from her. She smiled as she felt his member moving in and out her private part. She really missed the feeling, and this boy must be worth more than diamonds. For someone so young and inexperienced, he had a lot of talent. She could feel every single thrust shake her body, and he was reaching very sensitive spots. Definitely an awesome time by her standards, but she wasn't going to tell him that. "Oh yes, keep going, Midoriya, faster." "I can't. Make an effort, come on, just a bit more, Weird as it was, her cheering actually helped him, going just a bit faster than his current max speed. The feeling of having her hot and wet hole was almost too much for him to handle. How could this feel so good? Midoriya suppressed these thoughts. Focus on the girls, he told himself, but every time he felt her insides it became more and more difficult. She was really breaking his will with sheer pleasure. And right now Midoriya was reaching his limit. Maybe, with her letting him take the lead, he could finally release all this built-up tension. He felt the power course through his body, but right before he could came, Midnight used her hand and pushed him back. Midoriya desperately tried to keep going, but she quickly moved his arms and rolled him on the bed, raising them above his head while he panted. He felt tired and annoyed. How much did she pretend to keep doing this? "Oh my, do you need to come so bad?" "Yes, just one time. You don't even need to do anything. Just let me. Talk no more. Since you gave me such a good time, I'm going to let you have what you want. But remember, you wanted it." Midnight lay on the bed and guided Midoriya to be in front of her on his knees. She pulled him closer, putting his cuffed hands behind her head and wrapped her legs around his torso, so her hips were lifted up. She put her hands behind his neck and licked her lips before she told him what he should do. "We are going to reach deep here. You only have one thing to do, Midoriya. Have me senseless." Midnight even gave him a wink. Midoriya slowly inserted his member inside her, then started moving and quickly picked up his pace. She helped by moving her hips to match him, effectively going much deeper. She felt his member parting her in two, his body clashing against hers, and she loved every second of it. "Damn, I might get addicted to him. That won't do. I'm supposed to be a teacher, but..."
It feels and I'm so good at, yes, where you were all that time. Buo, yes.
He kept going with all his strength. Midnight surely was a woman hard to please, but if he could take her moans as a measure, she at least looked to be having a good time. And for him it was at the same time the best and the worst thing he did in his life. Though it was absolutely incredible to have you, Midnight, his mind kept haunting him with the feeling of guilt. That was something good, he thought. At least he knew it wasn't right, but he kept going. He kept going because he loved the feeling of Midnight's wet and hot part. He loved to her say his name with that seductive voice. He even loved to feel her silky hands giving him a rougher treatment. Damn, she wasn't bluffing when she said she could turn him into an M-type, and to some point he felt he wouldn't mind at all it was here hitting him. There, he admitted it. They could play this game as much as they wanted, and Midnight could say she took his feelings seriously as much as she wanted, and he could keep telling her and himself that this didn't mean anything to him, but at his core Midoriya knew he loved to F-up with her. Nothing too complicated, just because she was so damn good at it. Speaking of core, Midoriya felt the energy of one for all build up once again. Would she keep her word and finally let him release the huge amount of accumulated tension? By the previous attempts, being so close to doing it and being denied at the last second, he truly feared she would not let it happen. Midnight made it pretty clear that seeing him at this state turned her sadistic side on, so why it would be different now. With each thrust he felt closer, and yet even more far away. The expectation was killing him. He had to do it this time, but he was too worried about the outcome. How could he feel worried while he was with her? She turned his head into a confused mess, but one thing he knew for sure, he had to give his best, otherwise he would never make it. Midoriya went faster, hit stronger, reaching as deep as he could, and that didn't pass unnoticed by Midnight as she moaned louder. She pulled his green hair, and her legs brought him even closer. She was about to reach her climax too. She could see in his eyes a mix of desperation and lust, a burning need to release his everything. Such look got engraved in her memory. She would hold these eyes dear to her heart for sure. He was already letting out sparks, but he kept going. Maybe it was the extra energy from his quirk, but he was increasing his pace and strength with each thrust, which Midnight absolutely loved. She could not remember she felt so good while having sex. Her core was on fire, and she knew her orgasm would be insane, so she was eager to see him finish. "It's so good, climax. He planned to pull out at the last second, but when he tried, she pulled him close with her legs. As she let out a loud scream, Midoriya finally came. It was so intense he thought he would collapse any second. Her walls wrapped around his member. Midnight was so hot he could end with some burns. Her juices mixed with his hot seed in a huge mess inside her. She pulled him to her and locked him into a deep kiss, still moaning from her orgasm and squirming her legs. Her arms held him tight, and she even dug her nails on his back a bit, leaving light marks. She moved her hips some more before she let him go and breathe, laying on the bed. This time he almost backed out due to the lack of air. As he breathed heavily, resting on top of her with his head on her chest, Midnight hugged him with a hand and petted his head. Midnight herself was having some difficulty to catch her breath. As she expected, her orgasm was really intense, even more than she expected. She looked at the ceiling, then lifted her head up to look at the teen on top of her. "What the hell am I doing?" "Shit pant, I feel gasp so exhausted." "That's to be expected. Even if you are used to taking all of your girlfriends at once, your body is still feeling the strain from your fight with Bakugo. Not to mention, I'm simply awesome at this. I won't huff deny it." "What about your girls? Won't they be angry with you?" "Angry? They are going to kill me. I just promised them I would not let any girl have me. Again, I'm a grown-up woman, one that had needs requiring attention. Are you feeling better now?" "Why do you care?" "I don't know. I mean, you obviously felt that you needed it. Being a pro hero, I guess your time and opportunities is pretty short. You deserve a private life, even if you are a hero, right?" She let his words sink a bit, then petted his head again. A smile crossed her lips, but a warm one instead of the lustful and sadistic smile she had so far. HM. What's so funny? Did I say something wrong?" "So, it's just that. All Might keeps telling that you will turn into a great hero one day. Seriously, every meeting to discuss the progress of you students, he's the first to speak, and he always tells how much you have improved and how you are so special. Not directly, but it's obvious he sees something in you. By now we all accepted he is determined to make you his successor, though it started as a joke." Really? He says these things all the time?" "Like a proud father. But I know now why he speaks so highly of you. You are indeed very special, caring about how I feel after. This is certainly a first time." "I don't think it is so special. A hero cares about the other, right? Yes, but you are on a whole other level. Can you tell me how many times you decided to put the well-being of the others in front of your own, just for the sake of it? That would be hard. There you go. It reaches the point where you harm yourself to help others, and this, young man, is not a thing to be proud of. She playfully pinched his ear. Yeah, I heard that before. Anyway, yes, I do feel better. Heck, more than better. I don't think I had such an awesome time in ages, but don't let that get to your head. You still are 10 years behind me to make me black out. Do I have to black out a girl when I'm, Not necessarily, but it makes things more dramatic, don't you think? Probably. So what now? Yawn, am I free? Free? You are under house arrest for an entire week. The vacuum cleaner and the mop await for you, and you better expect to be summoned at the teacher's room without previous warning. Oh man, a week? But wait, yawn, why would I be called to the teacher's room? For when I feel alone, honey. Oh, Midnight Sensei, you know we can't do that, right? He was very uneasy now, knowing that she was implying more nights like that one. Why not? We just had sec. You are still naked, handcuffed, and resting on top of my sexy body. What makes you say such nonsense? Well, I'm 16, and you are older for starts. You, young man, is very wise with your use words. Well, screw the age gap. This way you can keep screwing me. But if someone finds out, you could yawn and arrested. I'll tell you the same I told if they find out. So how about we keep this between us? It will be our secret. I don't have an option, do I? Not at all. I plan to keep you around as much as I can. Don't hesitate in coming to me after you graduate, you hear me? Sure. Good. You better keep your word. Now you would please stop staring and drag your drunk ass here. I have to fix him before leaving him at the dorms. You mean MT, lady? He turned around and to his horror, he spotted the blonde woman poking her head out of a corner. She walked up to them and stood at the side of the bed. Important detail, she only had a towel wrapped around her body, and it failed to fully cover her bosoms and barely reached down her waist. I'm not that drunk, Nimiri. Hello, sweetie, and can you stop bossing me around? Wait. How long had you been there? Since the time she slapped you because you were going to give up. For a moment I thought she would turn you into an M-type, and though, what a waste. But it turned into something pretty interesting. Say, Midnight, care to call me here now and then? Only if you can deal with a half-dozen of hormone-filled girls. So it's a yes. Wait, don't I yawn have a say in that? Maybe, but right now you need some well-deserved rest, even though you kept knocked out the entire afternoon due to my quirk. Midoriya really felt exhausted. Maybe it was because at the end he kept his quirk activated for a longer period than he was used to. Also, dealing with Midnight proved to be an energy-draining task. So, half asleep as he was, he just let himself roll with it. Midnight took him to the shower, and with Yu's help, they gave him a bath. After that, Midnight carried him back to one of dorms, telling Aizawa that she learned from him the reason to the fight. He agreed with the punishment she gave him and extended it to Bakugo as well. Aizawa didn't question why he was sleeping in her arms, as he assumed she used her quirk again after interrogating the boy. Right, interrogated. As for the rest of the class, the boys woke up shortly after she left the gym. When they noticed, Midoriya and Bakugo were gone, and after searching, they found them at the infirmary with Recovery Girl and Midnight, who warned them about the house arrest. The girls came in the afternoon, and Kirishima was left confused as they left in a rush to see the green-haired teen. Few of them saw Midoriya being carried by the teacher, namely Todoroki, Shiro, Ojiro, and Mainta, who obviously cried blood tears of pure envy. After gently laying the sleeping teen on his bed and closing the door behind her, Midnight found the group of girls that probably formed Midoriya's harem. As she suspected, they all were involved, and to her surprise, the Pinkette from the support course was really here too. They asked about his condition, if he was in trouble, and most important, if they could see him. Midnight calmly said that yes, he was fine, yes, he was in trouble, and would be under house arrest for a while. As for seeing him, she told them she used her quirk again so he could rest more, but she heard some complaints and even a suspicious glance or two. I guess I'll have to do something about these thirsty girls. If they keep like this, they are going to drain the life out of him. Well, I sure could keep going with him tonight, so a training to raise his stamina will be a good thing too. And the night ended like this. Midoriya sound asleep, his harem worried sick about him, Nimuri content with what she discovered, Yu slightly drunk and dreaming about the green teen, and last but not less important, Bakugo angrier than ever. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through What If Everyone Gets Obsessed with Deku and Had Harem. I hope you found it as intriguing and thought-provoking as we did. A big shout out to guy number 23 for crafting such a compelling story. Don't forget to check out their profile on FanfictionNet for more amazing works. The link is in the description below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to What If Deku 2 for more fascinating explorations into the world of fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we're always excited to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section. See you guys in the next video.